Ladies and gentlemen, welcome along to another episode of A Slice of Golf. It's been a bit of an eventful weekend for two of us. Well, it's an eventful weekend for all three of us, but one for slightly different reasons, smashing down walls and doing a bit of home renovating, dipping in and out of IKEA by all accounts. Chaps, how are we getting on? Mr. Wright, I'm coming to you first, buddy, because someone's had a handicap cut.
Well, I have, but can I just say that was the very late night radio DJ voice you just had on screen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to A Slice of Golf. Yeah, I've had a bloody great weekend golf-wise. I was played Pine Ridge on yesterday. Recording this on Monday. On Sunday with two other guys. Pine Ridge. I like it as a course. I always feel quite good about Pine Ridge. I like it as a course. The preparation for the round was weak, I'll be honest. I got there with about 20 minutes to spare, no warm up, had my coffee in my mug, went onto the practice green, hit a load of putts.
Persistent with the claw?
Persistent with the claw, yeah, definitely. And by the way, when I say my prep was bad, and I thought I was cutting it fine, being like 20 minutes before the tee time. 5 minutes after I arrived, one of the guys arrived, and about 10 minutes after me, the other guy arrived. So I was like, great, none of us are prepared for this round. However, step onto the first tee, and there's 3 pars. So I was like, right, this is how we do golf. Yeah, I'm going to live with you. So I've been playing off my handicap index is 15.4, 15.6, something like that at the moment. Either way, it worked out that I was playing off 17, which, by the way, is absolutely delightful.
Yeah.
I haven't played off 17 for a long time. What was I at Chelsea? I might have been 60 at Chelsea. Anyway, 17 was, just a dream. Knowing that there's only one hole that I actually had to get par on was excellent. First hole, bit of a dodgy drive, but managed to rescue it with my iron, and then just 2 putts. Second hole, This is when I knew things were going to. I felt like it was going to be a good day. Toppy shitty drive goes about. It wasn't a drive. It was my hybrid. Went about 50 yards forwards. Still in play though. Next shot, I thought right, probably reach the green still. Topped that. Didn't go into the water. Stopped about. There's like a lake on the second. It goes down the hill. Stopped about 4 feet before the water. Third shot, knifed a pitching wedge, went no higher than waist height all the way towards the green. And behind the green, there's like a big mound. It rockets into the mound, bounces up in the air, comes back down, rolls back onto the green. I thought, today's my day. I've somehow not lost this ball in 3 of the worst golf shots I've hit in a long time. And then proceeded to go on and hit 10 more pars. I hit 11 pars total over the round. Had a couple of blow up holes, one blob, and hit 41 points.
Oh, to be able to hit 41 points with a blob in there, that's quite tasty.
And I'm going to level with you. It was front 9. I was very, very aware that I wasn't putting any content onto the socials, and part of me was like, I'm in the zone here, and and I'm like, I don't want to do anything that's going to get me out of the zone.
But that's where I think you know something's going on. We've said it before. If we're all having a stinker, everyone's in a bad mood, there will be no action on socials. I think action on socials just indicates that it's a pretty average run of the mill round where you're having a bit of fun. You realise you're not scoring that great, so you're like, yeah, we'll get the camera out. But you always know something's going on when you get one story and then that's it for the whole day.
Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, I said to Joe on the 10th, I was like, this is the first time in a year and a half, I reckon, that I've stood on a tee box relatively confident I know where the ball's going to go. And I was like, I honestly have not had that feeling in a year. Like last year was awful golf wise. It was just my handicap was just like 0.1, going up 0.1. I was just like, this is killing me. And yeah, the other day I was just like, yeah, I wasn't hitting it. The flight with the driver had a weird shape. Like it was kind of going straight up, good like initially, and then it was just kind of like falling out the sky and dropping down. And Joey was sort of saying, "Oh, I wonder if you're somehow hitting down on the ball or whatever and putting too much backspin on it." But it was dead straight in play. I was like, "I don't even care. Like, I'm in play. I can play from here." And then the irons, I honestly just stepping up to the ball and being like, "I'm relatively confident this is going to go where I want it to go." And it just, what a lovely feeling. I worked out the putts. 33 putts. Felt like I was putting okay. 1 3-putt. And that was because I was on a par 5 in 2 on the 9th on the green in 2, but the pin was tucked behind the bunker.
2 pretty good belts.
Yeah, I smacked. The drive was huge, and then a lovely 4-iron, I think it was, just crushed it. But the pin was way on the right, tucked behind, and I went way left on the green. But I was like, I'm still further away than I would be if I was like chipping on type thing. Yeah, it was a good day. Confidence was high, mood, golf morale couldn't have been higher for the pint afterwards.
I can imagine. And were you in the camp of knowing the score and knowing exactly where you were, or were you avoiding the scorecard the whole way?
I knew the score mainly because I was scoring for the group. So I was very quiet about it. Like, I wasn't saying anything, but I knew on the front 9 where I think I got 6 pars on the front 9, and I knew I was like 3 over, and I thought, you know what? I feel like I'm having a fairly good round. And then, I scored 21 points on the front 9. Cool. I thought that hasn't happened. There's been rounds I've not scored 21 points total in the last year and a half. So, I knew, and I knew coming up, I had a wobble in the middle of the back 9, 1 blob and 1 pointer. And then I was like, no, enough of this shit. Just put the ball in play and crack on.
Good work. Very well done. So handicap has now been cut from what to what?
Yeah, not much, which is great, which is an implication of my last 20 rounds having been absolutely shocking. So went from 15.7 down to 15.2, I think it was. So still 15, which is great.
Little baby cut. Yeah, very, very, very much so. If you turn up to some courses and you're getting a shot a hole, it's a nice position to be in.
The putting felt really, really good, although 33 putts doesn't imply it's much better than previously, but putting felt really good. Was draining kind of what I call the kind of the bitch putt range, that are like the 6 foot that you feel like you should be always draining but don't always drain, and all of them I was just standing over and just like, knock that in, great. The only thing that I think was letting me down was, I'd say, kind of the 30 to 80 yard range. I just haven't practiced it, like haven't done short game, like, do you know what I mean? Like, just haven't had the opportunity to do that.
Did you get to the range in the past week?
No range. And I a lot after when we had our major, wherever it was, a week and a bit ago, on the back 9, I felt really good. Like, I was like, oh, okay, something's coming. I feel like I've got a bit of a rhythm in here, and kind of almost wanted another 9 holes. So I was quite happy with how the swing was feeling. So I wasn't too worried about not having range, but I definitely now want to go back to the range and start going, right, okay, this is working great. Keep doing this.
Yeah, I'd have to admit, I didn't range over this past week, and that it felt a bit crusty standing on the first tee on the Saturday. And I think
I'll tell you what,
the difference when I don't, that's for sure.
Joe Holt scoring 38 points and Lou coming second must have been a bit brutal. A little bit.
Well, considering he scored about 21 points a mere 7 days earlier, that's quite a turnaround.
Yeah, I did speak to him about this. We had conversations around what happened at Chelsfield and why he disappeared off without staying for the prize giving. I did try and rub it in a little bit and be like, what on earth happened? He was striking the ball so well. Like, I was like, I don't know how you scored 21 points. Like, he was hitting the ball really, really well.
Just back to being his consistent best. I was just very fortunate to have him at a real off day.
Yeah. And the other guy we're playing with, relatively new to the game, it was one of these. He loves to hit it as freaking hard as he possibly can, right? Just absolutely goes for it. Never ends well when he does it. The whole way around, dramatic. By the way, I'm not sure if either of you played with him. He's dramatically improved. Dramatically improved. I asked him if he bought a putt out or something, because his putting was just like, normally it goes like 30 feet past, and now he's like, he's two putting everything. This is very interesting. What's going on here? His game, anything from 8 or 9 iron in short clubs, stands over the ball, really nice setup, really smooth controlled swing, ball goes dead straight onto the green. Anything longer than a 7 iron, stance changes, tempo changes, goes absolutely wild, absolutely tries to nut it, big fat slice into the trees. And I'm like, me and Joe were just like, dude, just take a 7 iron, just take an 8 iron the whole way around. Like, you'd actually score really well. Like, just stop pumping around with everything else. But it was a really interesting thing to see, A, the improvement, but B, also like clearly a mental thing, like just gets a driver in his hand or even like a 4 iron or whatever. And it's just a totally different game to him than the 7 iron. Does that make sense? But it was really cool to see the improvement. It was really good to see.
Like it. Mr. Williams, this weekend, talk to us. What happened?
Well, I mean, not a lot golf related happened. I mean, as you kind of trailed at the start of the podcast, my weekend has basically consisted of soaring through walls, cleaning out fireplaces, going to IKEA. So not a huge amount of golf in there, although some interesting developments. So I can't remember if I talked about this on the pod before. Apologies if I have. But I'm in the process of moving house, and the new house has an artificial turf garden, which is brilliant. Well, I say brilliant. I've not squared this off with my other half yet. That's amazing for practice. That's made for practice swings, right?
Yeah, and putting like, you could probably just cut a couple of holes in there, make it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm saying this now. I'm 90% sure that's not going to be allowed, and that's not going to happen. But no, so not a huge amount. So no round for me this weekend. Did go to the range today, however, and trials. I mean, it's not exactly something new, but something new for me. So I purposefully only took 50 balls.
Okay.
Nice.
So I did not go for the 100 ball option, because I thought, you know what? Today, I really want to work hard on just a few things and trying to eradicate just a couple of issues from my game. And what I don't want to fall into the trap of doing is buying 100 balls and just feeling like you can just go at it and swing and swing and swing. Every single shot I want to hit today on the range, it needs to be thought about and considered, and you need to play it like you would normally do, which unsurprisingly does make a difference when you think, right, I can't just take out 5 balls and just swing as hard as I want and see what happens, because I've only got 50 balls to deal with. So that was good, actually. Recommend it. So easy to just go and say, yep, definitely the 100 balls. It's a lot of balls to hit in, if you think about it, 100 balls in, let's face it, you probably normally hit about 100 balls in what, hour and a quarter when you're at the range. Not particularly true to life. Seeing as, if you're trying to get good at this game, you're trying to hit, well, in terms of where we are, between a 90 and 80 in the course of 4 hours usually. So a bit different. So did that. So yeah, working on a few things. Like, I've been playing okay recently, but there's definitely a few things I need to sort out. So just gently, quietly working away a few things. And then what I did with the resulting time that I had from not having the other 50 balls was I spent a load of time today on the putting green. And I'm really, really, really enjoying putting at the moment. I've not changed my grip for once. I've just kind of, I don't know, sort of settled into a bit of a routine that I just feel really comfy with, and a way of putting that I just feel really comfy with. So what I've done is I have a new practice which is devised from International Putting Championships, trademark the Frey Bantos Invitational Tour. But basically what I do now, I kind of have a little bit practice and warm up, and then I basically use my putting practice as if I'm playing 9 holes. So I play a par 18, 9 holes on the putting green.
So always a par 2 on every hole, as it were.
Par 2 on every hole. So you're always going for, they're not always sort of long distance putts, but they're always sort of quite considerable distance putts, because the whole aim is that it's getting me to a position where hopefully I can put a bit of pressure on yourself, and you sort of take the time to sort of look at the reads a little bit better. I actually felt that was a really good way to practice, because there was a bit of competition in it, obviously only with yourself. But you get to the position where, let's say you all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, I'm one under. I'm one over through 3 holes, and you think, oh right, now pressure's on. I need to get back to par. Can't be more than 2 putting. And I actually found it's a really fun way to practice. I think I finished my round in inverted commas. I like 1 under for like on the putting green.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Which was really, really good. But that was generally because I was pretty much 2 putting everything. And managed to get one.
We also don't know that his 18th hole was just a 1 foot gimme putt.
Nubbed it in. No, I think that's a good way to practice, because again, it's similar to the range, right? It's, you can sit there and just hit putts all day long, like you would in a range. You just stand there and slam balls. But ultimately, if you gamify it and you give yourself a little challenge, then I would be willing to bet that is a better way to practice than just knocking putts for fun. So I quite like it.
Yeah.
I like it. No, good. Right. I was out twice this weekend, as we spoke about last week. 2 contrasting rounds, I think would be fair to say. On the Saturday, I played at Wanstead Park. All right, great nick. I mean, the first thing the guy said when we got there, pro shop, was like, the greens are playing quick. I was like, nice. I like a bit of speed on the greens. That's absolutely fine, but they were fast. Genuinely, some of the fastest greens I'd ever played. And, it was fine, but there were occasions where you did think, perfect, I've hit a perfect weight here. And all of a sudden, the ball's 6 feet past the hole. You're like, shit. That proved a little bit challenging. Well, I think all in, the way to best summarize that round of golf was, it was a nice walk. That was about it. It was a nice walk with 2 very good friends. Shite. Absolute shite from a golf perspective. I played with
but it's
2 players.
It's all right because that wasn't a tour score, is it? Well, that wasn't a race score, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, so this I played with 2 players brand new to the game. We're talking someone it's like his 3rd ever round of golf or on a golf course. His first one was the other week. And because he shot 105, his immediate target was, I'm going to shoot 100. And I was just like, I don't want to be the one to tell him it's not quite as easy as just improving every round you play. A lot of people play a lot of rounds of golf and don't break 100 in their first year. But I didn't want to piss on his parade, so I didn't say anything. Both of the lads, they went off 36, which was adjusted to 39 because of the course. Wow. You can imagine, it made it really tough going because I was almost rules official and then coach, and then also trying to keep up with time. And then there were multiple times where, just because they'd not played a whole lot, I had to stop mid backswing or when standing over a putt, and I'd just look at them and be like, boys, please shut up. Just let me hit this shot. And it's something I massively buy into, and I'd only ever noticed it going the other way when people had said that if you want to get better, play with players that are a lot better than you, and you will see how to play the game, how they structure their round, and how to play around the course. This weekend, I found out.
That's why you played with me for several years. I get
it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's very, very true. But also, kind of this weekend and Sunday made me realise this, is that actually works the other way as well. So it was a 3-ball, like I said, both were off 39, and I ended up sort of playing to their level. And I don't mean that as an insult to them, but there were times where I was just like, I've got to try and pick up my pace of play and get myself into a rhythm, because my rhythm was so off. And it's the first time I've ever played golf where I've really noticed that a pace of play really impacts the way that I play the game. So there were a couple of times where they were 100 yards from the tee box, and I was like, I can't just hang around it. I've got to try and play this hole like I normally would. I'd be on the green as they were like hitting their 4th, 5th shot in the fairway. And I know that's not necessarily great golf, but that was kind of me just trying to get something going in my own game. It took us 2 hours and 40 minutes to get through 9 holes, which
not a busy course or anything.
Nothing to do with the course. So there was a 2-ball in front of us. By the time we got to the 12th, there was a hole that came back on us. They'd gained 3 holes on us. They were 3 holes further ahead. For
the record, I assume you were letting anyone play through that caught you up behind, etc., etc.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, there actually wasn't. No one caught us up because there was a 4-ball behind us, and I kept looking round, and it was duffs for the whole way down the fairway, sort of thing.
So having a tough day too.
Yeah. And they were a 4-ball, and they were, we actually gained a few holes on them. We were 2 holes ahead of them, so it's we could have played quicker. So for me, I was at the turn. I was 50 strokes for 10 points.
Whoa.
And with that, it's not like I was pranging it all over the place because I didn't lose a ball. I was still on the same golf ball. If I was disposing of golf balls into lakes, into trees, into whatever, I could just about, cope with it. But I know I can't really pinpoint what I was doing wrong. I think just there was a lot of mental errors going into shots. And then we got onto the 10th, which is a downhill par 4. And I saw the score and was like, right, this next one is absolutely having it. And I'm hitting it as hard as I possibly can. It came straight out the centre. It went an absolute mile. And I turned round and the boys were chatting and they looked at me and were like, I think we're done. Should we go for a beer? I was like, I've just absolutely nuked a drive, the best drive I've hit all day. Could you have not said that 30 seconds ago? So I was like, right, let's just play a couple more holes. One, so I can selfishly go and get my ball, and then it starts coming back towards the clubhouse, and then we were kind of done. So, at the turn, 10 points for me, 8 points for one, and 13 points for the other. When you're playing off 39, that's a lot of strokes. You can imagine 8 points off 39. That's a lot of strokes. That one very quickly turned into an excellent social because the atmosphere at the bar on the patio outside the golf club was brilliant. There were loads of people out. There's a barbecue going, so we stayed there for a few hours and had a few jars. So it made it a nice day. Golf, dreadful, but it was a nice day. And then the following day, here's where a complete contrast. So there was a 4-ball, and the lads that I play with, I mean, I don't like to think I'm slow, but also I know I'm quite quick. I'm quite methodical in what I do. But these boys, I was playing with 3 lads who most of the time don't take a practice swing. And it was a case of ready golf the whole time. So for 4 of us, we got round in an hour and 50 minutes on the 9. That's almost the difference of an hour, based on Saturday to then onto Sunday. And the score reflected that. I was 42 strokes for 19 points at the turn. So I was kind of looked at that at the turn like, well, this is, there's clearly something in that. When I'm being forced to play quite quickly, I play better golf. And all in, we finished 18 holes in 3 hours and 45 minutes, which is a massive, so that's a quick round of golf. Bit of a collapse on the back, but I finished off with 33 points, which came second, and the scores were 34 points, 33 points, 33 points, 32. So everyone had good enough rounds. No one was bad, no one was outstanding, but it was the single greatest comeback I've ever seen on a golf course from anyone I've ever played with.
I was going to say, if you didn't mention this, can you please talk us through? Because when you sent the scorecard through, we were mid playing rounds. So I didn't look at it, and then later on, I was looking at the WhatsApps, and I was like, "Oh my god, this guy!" I was blown away. Talk me through what happened.
Honestly, one of the lads was saying he had a very, very dark start to the round of golf. He blobbed the first 5 holes. That's quite demoralising.
Yeah.
And he's a very, very calm, placid, easygoing guy, and I think that really, really helped him because he was no points through 5, and then the first time he scored a point was on 6. It was a 4-pointer. It was a net eagle. He put his it was a par 3. He put his iron shot kind of relatively close, 2-putt, and he goes. He finished at the turn with 12 points.
An unbelievable recovery over 4, 6, 7, 8, 4 holes.
Just quick, so just on that. So first 5 holes, not a single point scored. I mean, that would be enough to probably make me jack it in. I'd be like, no, that's not happening today. I'm going home. Was it kind of just? It sounds a silly thing to say. Was it kind of there were some unlucky moments within that 5-hole stretch where you'd say, okay, he didn't score, but there was,
or was it just really, really shit
bad
golf?
golf?
No, there was. So he's still fairly new to the game. I think he was playing off of 28 on the day. Yeah, I think he was playing off 28. Now his natural shot shape is right to left. When he starts missing, it's a hook. And there were a few occasions where he was hitting it well. It just had too much spin on it, and he'd lose a ball into the trees. There were a couple of occasions where it was either like a topped or straight block into the trees, ball gone. He was disposing balls pretty quickly. He was losing golf balls left, right, and centre. And then it was almost like I filmed a video of him, which unfortunately didn't post on social media, of him just looking like really down in the dumps, kind of traipsing along, head hung in shame, walking towards me. And that was almost a turning point, because as soon as he stepped onto the next tee box, that was it. And his back nine, I mean, it was outstanding. 49 strokes and 22 points on the back nine. And he took it on the last hole. I had a 6-footer to tie, and I missed him. Yeah, so the guy who blobbed the first 5 holes of the day walked off with the win, and that's the most miraculous comeback I think I've ever seen on a golf course before.
That
and
is unbelievable.
All 3 of us were like, What's just happened there? How have we let that happen? I have to admit, I kind of absolutely bottled it back nine. Putter went ice cold. Couldn't make a putt to save my life. But was striking the ball pretty well. Just couldn't get done on the greens. And yeah. So again, another a really enjoyable round. Good fun. And that kind of comes into the pace of play. Like I said, first time I've really noticed how much of an impact it actually has on my game. So if you're out there and you want to play a competitive round with me, just slow me down, because apparently that works.
Yeah.
That works pretty well.
I'm just going to take 2 minutes to find my ball over here. I'm going to help Tim go find his. Hang on a minute. Have you seen the I know it's only 3 rounds played so far, but the updated, we've got our Race to Fray Bentos tour has begun. Joe Holt in first place. Chris Wright has jumped into second place. Ben Fowlis has dropped a couple of places down to third.
Wait. Tim's got
a missing scorecard here, I think.
There is a missing scorecard here.
For who?
You know what? Whatever. Bollocks. I am going to call him out on this. Joe Holt is top of the league with 2 scorecards entered, 1 for 36, 1 for 38.
Shot 20 points last week.
Handicap, Joe Holt.
But that won't affect it. He'll still be top, because that won't change his total points.
I don't care. Where's the
scorecard? I agree. It needs to be entered. It needs to be entered for sure, but that won't change it. He'll still be top of the table there, because that will just be a 0-pointer. Spacey coming in 4th, Tim Williams in 5th. And for everyone listening, by the way, this is, I think, did we set it as best of 10? I think we did, didn't we? I think it takes you top 10 rounds. So all the rounds that we play with someone else from the tour up until the point that we go away are a competition round, it counts. But if you played like 20 rounds, it just takes your best 10. So basically, we kind of do it that way so that it allows the people that don't play as much still, hopefully they get 10 rounds in and can be on the leaderboard. And those that play more, they just have a more opportunity to score better.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, sorry, I glossed over the fact that it wouldn't actually change the point situation. I was being pernickety. On air, dig out, retracted, an apology issue.
Talking about on air, dig out, not retracted. So I received a lot of, maybe 2 or 3 messages last week about saying how me calling out Ben live on the pod was one of the most funny things that we've been through. I apologise to Ben. He found the whole thing hilarious. I have spoken to him today, and I have an update. Would you like me to share this with you?
Yeah, yes, please.
Yes, please.
So it got so bad last week. He didn't even call the pro to book a lesson. Having joined the club, he hasn't been down to the club since to even practice anything. He thought about going to the range tomorrow, but we had a conversation. I was like, I think you should just actually book that lesson, have a lesson, and then just practice that rather than just going and trying to embed whatever you're doing. It got so bad last week that he went on to Golf Bidder to see how much he would get for his clubs.
No. No, no. He's going to sell the sticks.
It got that bad that he's in his words. He goes, I actually wasn't looking to just give up the game. He was like, I was just looking to see what I'd get for them and see if I could get a new set of clubs. So I was like, what you're telling me is that you're blaming the clubs for your bad results. And then I thought to myself, he's like, it's not the club's fault. It's definitely user error. And I retracted that. I just found it hilarious that it got to the point of I'm on Golf Bidder looking at how much they'll give for my clubs. And they're only got to be a year and a half, maybe year and a half old, 2 years old, maybe.
Fun. Did on Saturday because I knew it was going up on social media. I absolutely nuked the drive and then pulled out the club twirl. I thought it looks okay. It could have been better. Probably got probably like a 6 out of 10. Really, you're not
maybe a 5.
It was okay. Oh, okay. I mean, you were impressed enough to slide into the DMs. And
I slid into the DM.
You appreciate it. So I've got 2 questions for this. Do either of you two ever club twirl on the course?
Probably, yeah.
Yes. And it's a technique thing because I watched, we've all seen Tiger Woods where he holds it, pushes forwards because he's got his right hand and then he's off charging down the fairway. But I noticed it on my video the other day. I actually pull my right hand towards me. So do you guys push or do you pull?
I honestly don't know. I'd have to get a club. I don't have a club within reach.
I'm going to drop it in. It doesn't happen that much with me. It's only when there's a shot which I just feel, And also when there's people around me. It's not something I'd ever do like when I'm by myself, like at the range or something.
Oh no! I like it. Where do you practice the club twirl? Surely you hit smash one at the range, club twirl. Yeah,
I don't think a club twirl is something that requires a whole lot of practicing. It's simply rotating a stick in your hands. I mean,
no, but it's making it good.
Some dexterity challenge.
As Ben said, he's given himself a 6 out of 10. So what would it have had to have done to be a 10 out of 10 club twirl? That doesn't happen by accident.
I've just done it I've just tried to do it with my pen, and it's definitely a forward hand
push. Yeah, that was what I thought, because as I pulled it and I saw the video, I was like, the technique's not great on that. It could probably tighten up a little bit. I wonder if switching out the grip and going with a push is the best way to go. So
what we want from people listening is we want to see your best club twirls, irrelevant of how good the shot is, out on the course. Whenever you're out on the course, just film a shot, however shit it is, club twirl. We want to see the best club twirls here.
Right. Okay, chaps. Now, this is something that I asked for you guys to prepare and give me some ideas for, because I have to admit, I really struggled on the course on Saturday to, as I said, kind of juggle all of the roles and then try and focus on my own game. Now, these are 2 friends that I managed to convince to come out on the course together, mostly because they were together. They're both have admitted, I don't want to say being in fear, but I guess it is, so I'm going to use it. Being in fear of playing with better players, just so they don't make themselves look like fools. And I think every golfer goes through that, particularly in the early stages, which is. And then I felt, and I think particularly moving forward, I almost feel the burden that it's on me to get them out to the course. So now these are 2 people I've been trying to get into the game for a long, long time. So getting them on was brilliant. But it did affect my game. Now, as much as I want to be, inclusive, everyone getting my mates out there, I also, I play golf because I really enjoy playing well and yes, getting out there with the boys. But like I said, I want to encourage them to keep coming back. What have you got for me moving forward that everyone then benefits? And it's not necessarily, me looking like I'm binning them off because I want to play with other people. But then also trying to get the best out of my own game whilst playing with them. Christopher, I'm going to come to you first.
Don't do that to me. This is a genuine problem that golf has to solve. When you said this initially, I started just writing down notes and it turned into a full-blown rant. And I actually might release this as an article on, like I said to you, Ben, before. I was like, I might actually write this properly and release it on LinkedIn, because it is a problem. Is it a problem? It's something that needs to be solved and worked on better in the golf world. I even saw an article from a quite big golf magazine that said something like, the title was what high handicappers do that really irritates low handicappers. And I was like, I basically wanted to write on there, what low handicappers do that really fuck off high handicappers is shit like this, like bitching and moaning about people who are new to the game, because this is exactly what puts people off playing the game. And it was the low hand, and I was like, the low handicappers were like, yeah, I don't like playing with them for X, Y, and all the reasons where I was like, this is just dog shit. You just like it's ridiculous. I get it. Like, I understand where you're coming from, and I understand the whole. And I wasn't ranting about you, Ben. This is a problem. Like I hear it. I've been in golf clubs where low handicappers point blank refuse to play with anyone over the handicap of like 16 or something, and I'm like, who do you think you are? Like, genuinely, like I'm like, that's ridiculous. And I guess what might be, this is going to sound really silly, but might be quite an equivalent viewpoint is, and none of us have. Well, I don't have Noah's not old enough to actually be playing golf, but when you're getting kids involved in the sport, I imagine that's quite what your dad or mum or whatever feels like when they're getting you involved as a kid, and they're like, he is really shit, but I need to keep going because I need to encourage him in this game, and it's going to last him, and he's going to love it in the future. And I think my worry is that low handicappers, and this is, and by the way, I would say as a group, I think we're really good at getting new people into the game. Like, we have there's lots of people that have, I mean, none of us are any good. None of us are single figure handicappers or whatever. But generally, I think people come into our group and hopefully feel quite welcomed and whatever. And that's the whole idea around Sunday Red as well, right? The whole idea is that it doesn't matter if you're a beginner, come and join in, get involved at the events. So I do, because you go into golf clubs and there is often a real divide of us and them, low handicappers and high handicappers. And I also said to you, I was going to narrow this down and actually create something that hopefully give you some pointers that I think would help. I think there's responsibility on both parts. I think everyone, as you said, we want to grow the game. We want to get more people involved. We want to get people enjoying it. I think responsibility on two sides. I think all of us everyone playing the game has a responsibility to get new people into the game. Like, we all do. I do accept that playing competitive rounds with people who are brand new could what's the word? I don't know. Put you in, as you said, you're probably the person scoring to begin with, or teaching them to score. You're helping them out with the different rules. Your general golf is a whole language. Like, and I think this is. I'm trying really hard not to go ranty, but I've already gone there, haven't I? When you first start learning the scoring system, Stableford isn't a fucking word. Like, who made that shit up? Like, it's not like all these different terminology that you have in the world of golf is really hard. It's really, let alone swinging the golf club, is hard as it is. And we don't make it easy as a sport to get people in and actually get people involved in that language. So I think it just takes time. I really do. And once someone's in there, they'll love it and they're in there forever. I think there is a level of, if you are the golfer in the group who has the responsibility of doing all of that, like, I understand it would affect your game. I think you have to go in knowing that that's going to be the vibe and it's a fun round, and knowing that you're not going in there to shoot 41 points. It's, it's going.
Yeah, it was. Well, I turned up kind of, writing it off as anything respectable, and I was turning up knowing, thinking full well that this is probably going to be a practice round. Just work on a few things. Did kind of got that out of it, but just. When you're like us, we're not members anywhere, and you are paying for the privilege to be there. So at the time that we played, it was 40 quid, which is not massive to some, but it was still enough to be like, 40 quid's quite punchy for a practice. Ultimately, a practice session for me, and just a walk with the boys. Yeah.
So and that's where and then the other responsibility. There is a responsibility on the beginner. For me, there's a responsibility on the beginner golfer as well to turn up and be like, okay, I'm here. I want to be coachable. I want to learn. I'm not. I'd almost be like, if I was the beginner golfer walking to the first tee with someone, especially maybe if it's someone I've not met before, or I'd be like, dude, I'm new to the game. Let alone I'm trying to figure out how to swing the golf club. I don't know all the rules. I don't know all the idiosyncrasies of this sport. I don't know all the language. If I'm doing something wrong or I'm doing something that's not considered golf, please tell me. And I think if everybody just at the beginning lays out no, that's wrong. The more experienced golfer just says at the beginning, hey, by the way, you're new to the sport. That's awesome. Really happy to have you here. Are you happy if something you're doing is not quite golf? Are you happy for me just to bring it up and say something? Yes, great, perfect. Vice versa, the beginner golfer says the same thing. And And then I think it's silly. It's simple things like if they can't score on the hole, they pick up, and just it's like stop taking 20 shots in the fairway, pick it up. You can't score. Walk up to the green, have a chip and a putt, and take it up. So they're still playing the hole, but they're not going to score a point. They're getting in their practice, and just make that clear. It doesn't do anyone's motivation any good if you're scoring 15 on a hole.
Yeah, that's quite a good idea. It's something that I didn't even consider, because I said to them at the time, you can't score on this hole, and both of them didn't know what that meant, because again, going back to the Stableford, it's unless you've clarified it.
Can I just add in something? Because whenever I've said this in the past, and I've posted about this in the past, and people often have a go at me, being like, no one should step onto the course not knowing the rules. I'm like, this is horseshit. A, have you seen the rule book? It's mental. B, I took the advanced rules test on the RNA website, failed dramatically. Didn't even understand half the words, if I'm honest with you. I was like, I don't know what that word means. Like, I genuinely don't know what that means. But I think golf is more than just the rules. As you said, Ben, there's lots of unwritten rules. There's lots of unwritten kind of regulations that you just don't know about until you're playing the game. And I think it's just creating, I don't know how, but it is just creating an environment that makes it okay from both ways, for them to ask and say, is this okay for me to do? And for you to be like, by the way, that's generally not the done thing. Next time, do this or whatever. It's really tricky. It is really tricky. And I don't have a proper solution. The scoring system was one of my tips. I would like, just make sure if anyone can't score, they pick up. And if they are brand new and they, give them a chance to have a putt or whatever, for sure. Don't just be like, that's a new hole. Sorry. See you later.
Yeah, I like that, because I struggle with the whole telling them, look, you can't score, just kind of pick it up. But in actual fact, well, then their putting's never going to improve, because if they're doing that on every hole, it's a difficult game to play. So that's quite a good idea of just saying, right, pick that up.
But say it from like before you tee off. By the way, guys, if any of us can't score on a hole, I'll tell you, pick the ball up. Stop. There's no point. Just say there's no point hitting a 15 on a hole. It doesn't make any sense. You don't need to. Then just come up and have a chip and a putt. So you're practicing those.
Yeah, I like that. I'll be using that next time. Nice. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Timothy, I'll come to you.
Yeah, I think there are three things, or there are three groups of people to think about here. So the first one is the more experienced golfers who are outside of the group that's playing. Chris has done a really good job talking about this, and he's absolutely right. A lot of work needs to be done here. I think every now and then, generally speaking, I think golfers in general probably do need to be a little bit more accommodating. That sounds like a really generalistic swipe, but I think it's probably true. And I think there can be a bit of a tendency for the more experienced golfers or the lower handicappers to see some of the actions or etiquette of someone who's out for the first time, and to kind of almost misleadingly think that they're pissing about, or they're kind of having a bit of a joke of things. Like a good example, for example, let's say someone's got a carry bag with them and they put it on the green. Like 9 times out of 10, that's just because they don't know the etiquette to not put something on a green. But I feel like, and I've seen it, right? I think there's a tendency for people to think that they're just dicking around and taking the piss. In my experience, that's not the case. Also, you'd be paying quite a lot of money and parting with quite a lot of time of your life to go somewhere just to piss about for 4 or 5 hours. So that's generally not the case. So I think there's probably a bit of, if you're an experienced golfer or whoever, and you see something like that, probably just a really quick, gentle tap on the shoulder and just be like, just so you know, just by the way, just it's not really etiquette because it damages the green, and tell them why as well. Yeah. Tell them, what the etiquette is, and also just a bit of a why, because it doesn't really, sometimes just telling someone a rule doesn't actually help, because as Chris has said, there's a lot of rules. It's not always completely clear why the rule's in place.
No, I just want to say you're so right. It's how I've been on the end of, it's how you say it, right? I've been on when I was relatively new to the game, I was on the end of a more mature member telling me off for I took a practice swing and knocked a branch or something. I can't remember what it was, knocked a leaf off or something. Right go at me. You've lost the hole. It was in a competition. You've lost the hole. And I was like, okay. I was like, and instead of getting angry and shouty and aggressive about it, you could have just said, by the way, I know you're relatively new.
Yeah.
He knew I was relatively new. I told him, if you do that, that is a penalty, and in this situation, it's conceded of the hole. And I'd have been like, my bad. I'm so sorry. I apologise. Instead, for the rest of the round, I'm like, you're a cock, and I really want to beat you, and I'm never going to talk to you again after this.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And there's probably, you go up and down the country, and there's probably 100 people that could tell you a story similar to that from when they've started off. All right. So I think there's a bit of thing about, well, let's try and get rid of the fear factor of the new guys coming into it who feel like, oh, I don't want to piss off members, or I don't want to be that guy that's ruining it for other people, which is a very real fear, I think, for a lot of people who come to it for the first time. So let's, if you play a lot of golf, if you've been playing for a while and you do see this, let's just kind of take a step back. We're all beginners once. Let's just think about, just give them a tap on the shoulder and a quick explanation. And I swear that'll do so much more than giving them a bollocking. That's just not going to help. So that's the first thing. Then when you come into the actual group of people who's playing, so let's say in your situation from the weekend, Ben, so there's two elements here. So firstly, one way or another, that the onus is going to be on the experienced golfer, the lower handicapper. I agree completely with what you said about, if you can't score on a hole and you're out for 18 holes on like a Saturday afternoon, pick the ball up, because there are other people playing, and it's absolutely a fair thing to do. You've got to be considerate of other people playing. Similarly, if say someone, let's say, hits the ball into the trees or it gets an unplayable, explain to them, okay, so technically the rule is you take a drop no further than your longest club, your driver length from where that ball was lying. You know what? To be honest, in some cases that's just they're still going to be in the middle of like a pile of leaves if that's the case. Explain that to them. And then just say, but you know what? That's the rule. But just for now, because you're only a beginner, look, just drop one out in the rough or on the side of the fairway.
And it's not a competitive round. And it's not a competition. It's a friendly round.
Exactly. But there is definitely things you need to do to encourage pace of play. I think a big one for explain something, but then say that's the rule. But you know what? For today, you knew. Let's just do this, or or just set a subtle reminder to them, is that like, look, guys, I know we're all new, but we do need to do things today to make sure we're not being slow, because there's a lot of people out. Now, one of the things on that point, the final place I wanted to come to was there is a little bit on the beginner golfers themselves, and there's a little bit of realism and expectation management. And what I would say to you, if you are completely new to the game or you're a 36 handicapper, if it's a weekend, let's say, play 9 holes. Don't play 18. Simply play 9. Because you know what? If you're going around in 2 hours 40, whatever it was, Ben, that you were going around in 9 holes with on Saturday, if you're a 36 handicapper, that's probably enough to have that time out there. So I would say either maybe you don't need to go and play a full 18. Play 9 holes, or even better, if you can, go play 9 holes at about 6 o'clock in the evening when the course is quieter. Do that, or play a pitch and putt.
Yeah, see, I struggle with this one, Tim, though, because
I'm not saying don't play on golf courses. What I'm saying is, if you're being pressure on yourself and it's a weekend and you're thinking, oh God, I don't want to be slow and piss off members, well, then maybe just take a step back. Don't damage your ego, or just be a bit realistic and say, you know what, I'm just gonna play 9 holes, and that'll probably be enough.
I need to jump in. If I'm new and you two have got me involved in the game, I want to be out on the course with you. I don't. If I go to you guys, hey, I don't feel quite ready yet. Actually, that's probably a bad, because I actually would be like, yeah, we went up to come and play a 9-hole pitch and putt. I'd still definitely
massively.
But there is the element of, I want to be out with you guys, and I'd rather adapt my game on the full course, i.e., pick up when I can't score or whatever, and not take it. I'm not playing for the Open here. And I need to get better. I need to play on an 18-hole golf course to get better at an 18-hole golf course.
2 things there. So if you want to play 18 holes, not a problem. Absolutely not a problem. Just be mindful of the former point I made around, if you're going out with an experienced golfer, you need to be mindful of, okay, this can't take 5 hours, 6 hours. It can't. So you do need to be willing to kind of be given the hurry up, or if you can't score in a hole, pick your ball up. But equally at the same time, like I said, if you're the experienced player in that group, it does fall on you a little bit to facilitate the pace of play, or make sure
that was one thing I struggle with, because I've been on the receiving end of someone telling me to pick up the pace of play, and then in the end, you almost like you freeze, you panic, you try to pick up the pace, and it just goes to pot. And that was something I was battling with, because I was conscious of the time the whole time. Thankfully, there was no one up our arse. That actually might have been a hindrance, because the people up our arse might have just naturally forced the pace. But I ended up employing the old tactic of just take one practice swing, because your practice swing is always your best swing. So just put the ball in front of it. Because both of them were routinely doing 3 or 4 practice swings every shot.
Then
that was something that only became apparent after like hole 5 or 6. And
you can't be doing that. If you're a beginner golfer, I'm sorry, you can't be doing 3, 4, 5 practice shots on every shot. And to be honest, if you're a beginner, you need to be open to having that feedback and being told that, because the flip side of this is, we talked about this a few weeks ago. Genuinely, I genuinely believe the faster you play, the better you play. Take too long and you overthink things, or you've got a million swing thoughts. Play fast. You'll be. Honestly, it's for me personally, and it's absolutely survey of one. So I realise that. But generally speaking, when I'm sort of playing fast, and generally speaking, if I go play 9 holes for myself on like a Friday night, I'm playing fast. But I'm playing fast because I want to get. I've got social things to get back to as well. Generally speaking, I'll play quite well when I play fast. It's when you play really slow and you're agonizing and you're thinking about a million swing thoughts, it's not going to help.
Yeah, I just think it comes. Tim, you made this point. It is how you say it. Like it's let's call them the lead golfer in this side. Just being a normal human being and having, as you said, tapping them on the shoulder, but hey, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to do. These guys, I know this is if you're in a club, it's different because you might genuinely be playing with someone you don't know. But these guys are your mates. Like you can just say, hey, it's like, here's where we're at. Here's what we need to do. Like it's not personal. It's just, hey, this is what we need to do, and this is. I do understand in a club environment, it could be really tricky because you might be dealing with someone that you don't know. And I just think it just comes down to being a normal human and just having a conversation and just saying, hey, just so you're aware, that would be a penalty, or that's not how we do this, or that's, it's just having a conversation. It's just communicating. I think too often in golf, I just see the other side of it where maybe someone does it 3 times and then the person snaps and is like, you can't do that. And I'm like, just speak to them like a normal human being.
Yeah, I was employing kind of every trick in the book just to try and get them to speed up the pace of play without going, hurry up.
No, but I think you just I think it just comes down to, lads, we're supposed to do this in 9 holes, supposed to take 2 hours. We're now like well over that. We do need to get a wriggle on. That's just the general vibe. If people don't tell other people what the standards are, then no one has any idea of what they're actually supposed to be held to. Does that make sense?
Well, there's also a little bit of, right, let's just think, why is it taking this long? Is it taking this long because because people are losing a shitload of balls in the trees and the rough, and therefore are having to take 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 shots on every hole? If that's the case, then it's the guys, if you can't score today, like not competitive round, exactly as I say, today, if you can't score, just put your ball up. It's, we're just out here to relax, but we do need to get round. Like we can't take 13 shots on every hole. And maybe the league
competitive round and you're playing Stableford, it doesn't matter. So you still pick the ball up. Like it genuinely doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. But where I'm going with it is just, again, be mindful of why is it taking long. If it's the case of, like, if I was out with someone and it's taking longer because like they're losing a few shots, I'm kind of okay with that to a degree. But if you can't score, you can't sort of pick the ball up. If it's taking a long time because, I don't know, people are chatting or kind of being a bit idle and walking around, then you do need to sort of say to them, guys, you do need to let's kind of speed this up a little bit. Like, I know we're out here to enjoy each other's company, but we're not out for a country walk. There is actually a sports element to this. So I think there's a little bit of that as well. There's no one answer.
I've got an idea. I've actually got an idea. Something that might be.
I've actually got an idea.
So I think if you're in a golf club, genuinely what should be done is the response. I do think a big part of it, you've got 3 responsible parties if you're a member of a golf club, right? You've got the beginner, you've got the member that they're playing with, and then you've got the golf club itself. The golf club itself should have whatever they want to call it, an induction, a welcome period, or whatever, where, and I think some do, where genuinely they're like, hey, this is the vibe, here are the rules, here are the whatever, blah, 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 take them through it and actually really induct them, put them with someone and who is not necessarily the captain, but I'm about to call them the welcome committee, but have like people that they know they're really happy to meet the new members, they're really happy to meet the beginners and play rounds and help them. Like, there'll be people within that club that would love to do that. Nomadic golfers is a bit different, right? Nomadic golfers is, you might start, if you're like us, you start with your mates, and generally that's fine because your mates will tell you pretty quickly, mate, you can't take 7 practice swings in a bunker taking sand out. That's just like they'll tell you, and you'll learn from playing with them week in, week out. If you're starting and you're like, there's 1 or 2 of you getting started in the game, I think it could be difficult. I think what we need is like a hacker's guide to golf. We need like a hacker's, here are the secret unwritten rules that you don't find out about until you're being shouted at by an 80-year-old dude on the golf course somewhere. It probably already exists, to be honest with you. But I feel like there's almost something, there is almost a simple, you're almost like, those like joke books that you get where you're like, this is how the modern man works. And you're like, oh, right, okay, right. This is how the modern wife works. Okay, great, perfect. I need this instruction booklet in my life.
The other thing we talked about, sorry, I feel like we talked about this before. Apologies if we haven't. My memory is not with me at all tonight. But I feel like
this is episode 52, right?
Yeah. We've brought the
half
century. We've been at this a year. Which is why I'm not able to remember everything we talked about. But no, what I was saying was, well, that is there not an argument within a club situation, obviously? I don't know quite how you fit this in timings wise with everything else you've got to get in with the week in terms of events, members, mornings, whatever. For a bit of, it's almost like a bit of a social afternoon where newer members to the club who are higher handicappers will get put into a 4-ball with a combination of people they don't normally play with.
We have spoken.
I feel like we have spoken about this.
We have, and because there was one guy at which golf club was it? Somewhere in Brighton, and they do this, and he.
Oh, and they do this, yes. So this to me seems like a really good idea because for loads of reasons. Firstly, if you're new to the club, it kind of gives you a chance to actually make some mates. Have a bit of rapport with people you go around with. If you're starting off and you're not sure about the rules, you'll learn pretty quickly going around with people who are lower handicappers, B, kind of do want to play fast. But hopefully, if they're members, if they're paid up members, I feel like the more experienced golfers or people that have been members for a longer period of time, because these are fully paid up members, that whole thing we said at the start about people being a bit kind of aggressive and dismissive to newer golfers, that might not be there quite so much. But also, it's a much more relaxed environment to kind of get up to speed with what the rules are, what the local rules are, by the way, because that's a whole different kettle of fish. So I think that remains a really good idea, and it's awesome to hear there are clubs out there that do it. Happens with tons of other sports, right? So why not this?
Yeah, I'm going to stop because we could talk about this all night.
Yeah, no, I have to hold my hands up and say that I had free reign to pick whichever golf course I wanted to play, and I've only ever played it with quite experienced golfers, and I'd always quite enjoyed it. But on reflection, it was just a terrible choice because there's no par 3s in the first 8 holes.
It's a long course.
Yeah, they're all relatively long as well. And I think if you are planning to go out with 2 new golfers, I would look to go somewhere shorter. That would have definitely have helped, because that was the feedback that I got pretty much straight away from one of the lads who I played Ilford with a couple of weeks ago. He was just like, let's just go there next time because it's significantly shorter. mistake on my part.
Such a good idea. That something actually that is totally overlooked by, I would say, the vast majority of nomadic or beginner golfers, is they do not look at the length of a course. Such a good point to actually consider. Oh, you know what? Maybe let's not play a 7,000 yard course when we're new to the game.
With that, I've got one final thing to add because it came up in the Sunday Red group, and it's Tim, me and you experienced this at Goodwood. I think it's a while coming. I don't think the current generation of golfers are quite ready for it, like from a mindset point of view. But is instead of the tees being women's, men's competition, it's handicap based. So your front tees, your middle tees, your back tees, and if you're a 36 handicap, you're off the front tees, which immediately makes the course 400 yards shorter or whatever it is. If you're a 12 to 18, you're off the middle tees. If you're a single figures, you can play off the competition or whatever, right? And I think
I don't know why. Well, I don't know whether it has been explored. I don't know why that's not been brought in, because that would then make every course like accessible. Well, within reason.
It is being done, but not by many courses. It's still, I think they're moving to the terminology of front, middle, back, but it's still like, and I would find it hard if we walked up to, and then we said, okay, today, Chris, your handicap means you're off the front tees and you guys play off the middle or the back. I'd be like, that just feels like a kick in the teeth.
Yeah.
But I think that's because of the way we've been brought up in the golf world, right? I think if that's where you're brought in and it's just, hey, you're at this handicap, you start on this tee box. Like, I think if you were coming in now as a junior and that's how they brought it in from now, I think it'd be fine. But I think because the golf world that we've been brought up in, I think that's hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there is that. I do want to see that. I do think that would be good because it would make that course X 100 yards shorter, which would be better for the higher handicappers than the lower handicappers who want to hit bombs off the competition tees.
No, I appreciate that. A lot of good input there, and there's definitely some good ideas that I'm going to be taking away and using myself, and hopefully, because the listeners are likely to have experienced that if they're fortunate enough to be able to convince two of their good pals they've been working on for a while to come into the game. People might come across it. So, yeah, hopefully that helps you guys. It's helped me out. Right, chaps, something that came up actually a fortnight ago. Me and Tim spoke about it, and Tim said he went and did a bit of putting practice today, and I at the weekend when we were at Wanstead's, the guy said all the greens will be really fast when they're out there. So I had a little knock on the practice green. I thought, yeah, they're okay. They're not lightning quick. And then when you got out there, you realise you're putting on glass. It's kind of a question that, I'm going to put to you, and it's something me and Tim briefly spoke about, is how true to life are practice greens? How much value is there in being on the practice green of a golf club to what they're actually going to play like on the 18? Tim, I'll come to you first for this.
This makes me laugh because I've thought about this a lot of times, but mainly because I feel like I'm preemptively giving myself an excuse for not putting well in a specific round. If all the greens had been like this practice green, I would have definitely had six fewer putts. I don't. So the conversation, I'll play back the conversation kind of in the way that Ben and I had it, is that I don't think a practice green, generally speaking, is not in the same sort of environment completely as greens that are out there on the course. They might be surrounded by woodland, or they might be more or less exposed to the elements, and just a totally different level of care probably gets given to a practice green. Certain clubs, they will have kids out there putting on the greens on a Saturday or a Sunday, for example, or they'll be doing, I don't know, coaching clinics during the week. So where I've rounded out of this is that unless it's sort of, to be honest, very, very high tiers of golf clubs and getting up towards, pro level locations, then no, I don't think that the putting green will ever be completely true to what you're about to play. There will always be a difference. Now that difference will vary from club to club for whatever reason. But where I've come full circle on it is thinking, you know what, the practice green isn't necessarily there for you for you to kind of sample what the greens are going to be like at that club. In my mind, the practice greens are there for you to practice the rhythm of your putting rather than giving you a trial sample is where my head is at the moment. So I've kind of gone away, thought about it, agreed with myself, but then agreed with myself that they're not always like the rest of the course. Disagreed with myself that impacts on my game, because it definitely doesn't. So where I've got to is how personally I will treat putting greens going forward is they're not a trial, they're not a free sample. They're just about your putting rhythm. That's my 2 pence on it.
That's a really interesting way to put it. Would never have even framed it as that. It's not a trial sample. It's just something to get your eye on.
Okay, so that's really interesting because my response was going to be, although Tim's now stolen it, at the high end clubs, or let me put it this way: the clubs we play at. The question was: is there value in the practice putting green? Yes, 100% yes, because. But the clubs that we play at, the not expensive clubs, no, the putting green I don't think often reflects the pace, the speed, the tempo of the greens out on the course. Is that a problem? I'd say yes, it is. However, I use them just to make sure I'm hitting straight putts, right? So I go, am I on line? Have I got my putting rhythm? Am I on line? Yeah, awesome. Deal with whatever pace hits me when I'm out there. The higher end clubs, I imagine, and having been lucky to play, a couple, and even when we go abroad, I think the putting greens are much more similar to the putting greens that you get out on the course, and I believe they should be because that's the course. It's kind of like here's the green, here's the practice green. This is giving you an indication to what it's going to be when you get out. And the amount of times I've been on a putting green, hit some putts, and thought, okay, I can roll this quite quickly today. Get out there, first green, and knock it freaking 15 feet past. I'm like, okay, that's not what the practice green was doing, and that irritates me. But what are you going to do? So, I think they should, but likewise, their focus has to be the 18 greens that are out there, and probably not the practice green. Probably isn't their core focus. Tim, you're right. If we get there by midday on a Saturday, they've probably had 3 coaching clinics, 2 kids rounds, everyone who's practicing going out there. So sure, it's not going to be rolled or whatever 3 times of a morning compared, it's a different environment, isn't it? So
yeah, they're fundamentally they've got to be built to be hard wearing and
exactly.
Yeah. So do I think they should reflect the course's greens? Yes.
Yeah.
Do I think they should? I'm trying to think of an example. Like Bletchingley was a good example. They have different tiered greens. You can practice different putts, like different rolls and things like that. And I think it accurately reflects the course from memory. It's going back a while. Others, it's a totally different green. Oh, Tim's got something. Sorry.
No, it's only just to jump in with an example of definitely, for anyone that's listening and has played there or plays there regularly, one place which definitely does have greens, which are true, practice greens, which are true to life, is Guildford. Because oh my god, I turned up on a Sunday to play there, and sort of went through my usual putting practice, and I was like, oh my good lord, these are fast. There's no way the actual greens out there can be as fast as this. Get out to the first green. Oh, no, yep, they are. It's exactly the same.
Yeah, you're right. And again, they also have different, even it's not a huge practice green, but they also have different hills, different rolls that you can do on the practice green. And yes, I agree. When you get out to the course, it does accurately reflect the speed. I'm pleased that you've done that, because I know the general manager there listens to the podcast, so he'll be delighted to hear that, I'm sure. So to answer your question, Ben, I think all practice greens have value. Yes, because I will always value making sure I'm hitting my putts straight on a day. That's my kind of key for that. And I think the higher end clubs, normally you would expect the practice green to match that of the greens that are out there.
I like it. Right, by extension of that, where's the best practice facility you've both ever been to? And what made it better than the rest?
Easy.
Tim's itching.
Easy. Not even a competition.
World of golf.
It's pretty good. It's not my number one. No, the best that I've ever been to in terms of, but all of their practice facilities, driving range, chipping, putting by a million miles was Kaya in Turkey. Was insanely good. Massive putting green. There were I think there were two putting greens, I think. Huge, but all complete with any kind of like, there were tiers in there, there were different rolls, different kind of putts you'd need to hit. It was perfectly maintained. It was true to what we played when we got out there. Beautiful grass driving range down by the side of the first tee. You have, I don't know, I can't remember what the trees were. Something like palm trees all the way down the right hand side. So really just scenic. And then practice bunkers. Yeah, I mean, I didn't play particularly well when I was there, but loved it. Loved everything about that setup and that course.
We are supposed to be playing there this year. I've not been there before, so my excitement levels have immediately gone up. So that's awesome.
Mr. Wright?
Yeah, for me, I think, although I'm now thinking back and I can't even picture the short game area, like the bunkers and things like that. I was lucky enough to be invited to Sunningdale at the beginning of last year, and I don't know if I'm just remembering like the whole experience, but the start, the warm up on the range, the putting green outside, like it's that kind of iconic picture. You're looking back up what is the first on the old course, and you've got the clubhouse, the practice putting greens in front of that big practice putting green, overlooked by the balcony of the clubhouse. Yeah, for me, and the range is obviously very, very high quality, but just the whole kind of experience of that was kind of matched into that. But yeah, I'm now thinking back, I can't even think if there was a bunkers. I mean, I imagine there is. But yeah, just the range is really nice. Oh, yeah, wonderful.
It's crazy how a good practice facility just adds to the whole experience, doesn't it?
Oh, for sure.
Leave a lasting memory. But for me, I wrote down two places, and it was Echo and Tim Carrier. Mind was absolutely blown by the extent of the practice facilities there. I mean, like the bunkers that they had, the pitching area, the chipping area, the putting area. The bunkers were so true to what they were like on the golf course. Kind of a grain of sand out of place, if that's such a thing. It was just beautiful. And the second place was the Wisley, whose driving range actually was better than Kaya's. Just beautiful, really, really great. And their chipping area with the practice bunker was awesome. Putting green was better at Karia, but then the Wisley would take it on the driving range. So I thought, yeah, those two if you get the opportunity to play either of those and get into their practice facilities, they're excellent. Right. Gentlemen, rounding off tonight. Okay, we're going a little bit more lighthearted. It's something that I thought about a couple of weeks ago. I was like, this will be great when it's my next go. Now, the PGA Tour used
my next go.
My next go. My next go.
He's going for it.
Yes. Now, the PGA Tour use a lot of statistics and metrics to measure how well a player is doing stacked up against the rest of the tour. And, players are now using that to set their practice. And tonight, I'm actually going to use those to set you two a little game, because I wanted to find out what our awareness is of the pros, because we have these perceptions of certain players being really, really good at a certain skill, might be driving distance. So for each category, I've gone driving distance, driving accuracy, strokes gained approach, strokes gained around the green, and strokes gained putting. I've got two players in every category, and I just want you to tell me where they rank on the PGA Tour. Driving distance. First up, probably quite an easy one. Bit of a 1 foot tap-in. Bryson DeChambeau. Driving distance. Where does he sit, Timbo?
Number 1.
Chris?
I'm going to go number 2 or 3.
Well, it wasn't a trick question. Well, I guess it is a trick question. Kind of, he is first.
Okay, fine. Or Tony Finau might be up there.
No, Bryson DeChambeau is first in driving distance. And interesting you mentioned Tony Finau, because he was my second. And I've got a pretty strong feeling this is going to surprise you two. Chris Wright, where do you think Tony Finau sits driving?
Well, now that you've said that, I'm obviously going to change my answer and go he's capable of being number 2, but he's probably at like 25.
Tim?
Oh,
I assumed he would be top 5 personally.
I don't think he'll be in top 5, but I don't think he'll be as low as 20, mid-20s. I'm going to say something like 15.
Okay, so as of May the 3rd, 2021, Tony Finau was ranked 35th in driving distance on tour.
Oh, shit.
So Chris,
1-1.
right, take that
1-1.
1-1. I'll let you keep the score. Right, second one. We're going driving accuracy. Now, someone who is known to be a pretty epic driver of the golf ball. He has publicly known, it's quite open to the public. He's struggled this year because he's chasing more distance. But generally speaking, Rory McIlroy, one of the best drivers on tour. Driving accuracy, Rory McIlroy, where does he rank in the PGA Tour?
This year or ever? Like
This
total?
year. Just this year.
This year.
Oh, God.
Who's up first?
We'll go Chris.
Shit. Okay. I might be setting the thing. I'm actually going to go driving accuracy. I'm going to go, I reckon, in the 52.
Interesting. Timothy?
41.
Let's see, this is why I love this game, because he's currently ranked 146th for driving accuracy. Yeah. I know. I know he's had his struggles, and it'd be I haven't looked back at last year's stats or a couple of years ago. Assuming that's I just saw that. I was like, I can't believe that. I struggle to believe that.
Right. I still win that one just for being closest.
I think so, I'll give you that one. Just picturing Bruce's Price is Right now. Is it Price is Right? It's like higher, lower. Can't be 1 penny over. Right, driving accuracy. Best swing in the game? Potentially, but how accurate is he off the tee? Adam Scott. Where are we saying he sits for driving accuracy? Timothy.
Beautiful swing. I wouldn't say he's like at the super high end of accuracy. If you're talking accurate players, I'm thinking more of like a Morikawa sort of being accurate. Adam Scott. Right. There's two things at play here, because you're asking a question, but you're also obviously got a bit of a smile in your face. There's a funky answer going on.
By himself typing.
Adam Scott, 22.
22. Okay, Chris Wright.
22.
I'm going to go a bit higher. I'm going to go 44.
Okay, cool. So this is where I thought I'd layer it on by saying he's got one of the best swings on tour, because he's currently ranked 179th in driving accuracy. Landslide at the moment. Absolute landslide.
God.
Okay, so next up, we're going strokes gained approach. So if you're sat there thinking, well, what does that really mean? So we're talking ball striking. It's irons in the fairway or wedges. Anything that isn't off the tee on par 4s or 5s, surrounding the greens or on the green. But approach does include par 3 tee shots, because obviously it's an iron. Now, someone who we all purr over is ball striking. We've just spoken about how good a swing. Well, Tim mentioned it. Here's Tim's boy. Where does Colin Morikawa sit for strokes gained approach?
He is number 1.
Confident, Tim Williams.
He is number 1.
Straight out there. I mean, that says to me that that was said so quickly. I almost wonder have you got your phone in your hand?
Yeah,
my phone is within reach, but
okay. Yeah, get that phone away from you. Morikawa, he's excellent. There's always a funky answer at the very, very top, so I think he's going to be in top 5. I'm going to go about 6th.
Cool. You should have just matched Chris, because he is number 1, and I just wanted to get him in there.
See, now I'm just trying to be smart.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to go 3, and just so you said top 5, I would go 3. Just so if it was second, we'd be a tie. If it was 4th,
I mean, you hear commentators talk about them all the time, about how great at ball striking, and people always compare Justin Thomas and Morikawa. They are 1 and 2, and I think that is one of the most important statistics for a golfer, because I think how many shots.
Basically, if Morikawa is on the fairway, he's going to be on the green.
Yeah,
it's basically the read into that.
Here's money. Right, our boy, as a team, couldn't leave him out. Will Zalatoris, where does he rank? PGA Tour, strokes gained approach. I'm going to go Tim this time. I'll give you the chance to go first.
It's got to be good this year because he's just been
Oh.
unbelievable form.
Tim's gone Daleks. Yank your microphone out, pal. It's reached that time.
That time of the week where my microphone just starts to give up on me. Will Zalatoris. It's been absolute fire. He's been money this season. So 15.
15.
Oh. I was going to go top 10, but I'm going to play this smart and go 12th.
He's ranked fourth on the sport.
Yeah, okay.
Approach.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew it was good. I just I wasn't brave enough to go that high. Yeah.
Chris is aboard a runaway train at this moment in time.
Yeah.
Right. This next one, I'm going to be really interested to see where you go with this. So strokes gained around the green. So this is every shot measured within 30 yards of the green. Now, we've all marvelled at this guy's short game before. We do speak kind of about it. Anytime he seems to play well, it's because his short game looks beautiful. Where does Patrick Reed sit?
Yeah. First
Chris Wright, I'll go, yeah.
$13th.
Interesting. Timothy.
3rd.
52nd.
Oh my God.
Not even in the top 50. Think about how much we've spoken about how good Patrick Reed's short game is to be.
Do you have the list of people, like the actual players in the top 10 here in front of you?
Not in front of me, no. They're quite easy to find just on PJ Tour website.
I'm not going to look because I don't want to cheat, but I want to know who the top 10 short game players are.
That just to me says really, really streaky. When he's on, he is on.
Tim, don't look. He's still got another player to go.
He's off. Okay. Someone who's, arguably the best talent all time, strokes gain around the green. With wedge in hand, where does lefty sit? Where is Phil Mickelson?
This year, though.
This year? Depends if you believe that his touch has deserted him this year or not. He's hitting it off the planet, off the tee, but what's he like around the green?
This year, I'm going 111th.
Interesting.
No, I still think he's very, very strong with strokes gained around the green. I'm saying top 20. I reckon like 17 or something.
It's quite amusing because you are really shit at this game. Phil Mickelson is currently ranked 167th
around the green.
Around the green, which those were the two names that jumped out at me because Patrick Reed we've spoken about a lot on here, and then Phil Mickelson, he's just known for that like wizardry around the greens, isn't he? Yeah, 167th.
I'm living in the past, obviously. With all
yeah. Right, final one. Strokes gained putting. Now, someone I'm going to bring up, just, we spoke about it a few weeks ago, but just to recap, because it still blows my mind that he's here. But Ricky Fowler is currently 176th in PGA Tour, which when you think back to I don't want to say the glory days, but when he was really, really good, he just seemed to be phenomenal putting, didn't he? And it's amazing how just a few years that someone's strength can become 176th best. Now, talking about someone who's a very, very good putter and arguably the greatest long-range putter of all time, because it just doesn't seem to matter where it's from. Jordan Spieth is making them left, right, and centre. Where does Jordan Spieth sit currently? PGA Tour.
Because he's had such a weird season.
Yeah,
he's had a season of like couldn't do anything to win with.
Banging them in from 40 feet and then missing 5-footers for fun. Like, that's that sort of season for Jordan Spieth.
Where does he currently sit?
I'm going Chris first.
68th.
19th.
Jordan
Wait,
Spieth.
19 or 90?
19th.
Okay, he's currently ranked 64th. That was very close. Not a bad guess, righty. Well done, Tim.
I love this game. This is a great game.
Right, basically, what we've learned from this game is I need to watch more golf, and Chris watches too much golf.
I wouldn't say. I mean, that answer was good. I wouldn't say Chris has been good. I think he's just been one better than you. Final name on the night. I believe he's still world number one, the maker of many, many clutch putts over the past year. Dustin Johnson. Where does he currently sit? Admittedly, he's not had the best year so far this year, but being on the greens is a completely different ballgame. Where is he in the PGA Tour? Tim.
I now have no idea.
Yeah.
Literally no idea. My mind is just gone. He's like first in the PGA, but which means that you would say probably. I mean, right? He's ranked first, so he has to be good. It has to be high. Is my rationale. But I'm probably going to give an answer, and you say no. He's 104th or something.
No, I don't reckon he's that bad.
Putting, I wouldn't. From what I've seen, his putting hasn't been amazing, but it hasn't also been shocking. I'm going to say he's in the 30s. I'm going to say like 35 or something.
Cool.
I think that's good. I'm actually going to go a bit higher. I'm going to go 53.
And this is kind of exactly why I wanted to do this, because it sounded quite fun in my head, and it has proved that way, because we know very little about the pros, because he's currently ranked 148th in PGA Tour putting, the world's #1 player, the guy who's, think how hot he was last year. We all spoke about how big a season we thought he'd have this year, and he's gone ice cold.
Okay, right.
With the putter.
This game sucks.
PGA,
yeah,
DJ,
and this is kind of the reaction that I was hoping to get from you. And when I cooked it up in my head, I was like, yeah, that would be quite good. And then this is where I messaged you two today saying I got quite excited by this, because you have this perception of golfers, and it just goes to show the stats don't always back it up, because like we've spoken about before, you see the good shots, you see them in their good times, but it's the stuff where they're not on camera, they're not in the televised groupings that which ultimately make or break a season. For Dustin to still be clinging on to first place, putting in 148th position, it's quite interesting. Mr. Wright, you quickly scurried away to go and dig up some stats, I'm assuming.
Yeah, this is what you were doing during the game. Fact. Is what you were doing during the game. Fact.
I wouldn't have guessed 100 places off if I had the.
That's the rogue one where you went for a stupid number to make it look like you weren't cheating, because you clearly had a phone in your hand the whole time. Stupid
DJ, #1 golfer in the world, 2021 PGA Tour season stats: strokes gained off the tee 21st, approach the green 19th, around the green 46th, putting. What did you say putting was?
148th.
Okay, that might have changed. I've got something different. 120th I've got here. Tee to green, 10th overall. Strokes gained overall, 26th. Like, that is, to be the #1 golfer, and he's only in the top. He's not in the top 10 of. Oh, he's in the top 10 of tee to green overall, but everything else, no. That's quite interesting, isn't it?
I guess that probably points to why he's not had the same season this year as how he finished last, because the putting is clearly affecting him to a point.
Zalatoris.
Whilst you're digging those around, chaps, have you got, before we go back to Chris to announce Zalatoris' stats, I don't know whether you're announcing them or whether you're just reading off names because you're interested in all the stats. Apparently I've kicked something off here, because if you're watching this on YouTube, you can now see that the boys just aren't looking at me. Chaps, any more to add on this week? Thank you for playing my wonderful game, by the way.
You're welcome.
If you joined in at home, I would love to know if anyone got anywhere near any of those, because I know there are some stats there that it blew my mind, and I thought it would be quite entertaining reading them off.
Also needs to improve his putting.
Where is he?
I'm affiliated now. It was in the hundreds.
Yeah.
I've got one thing for next week. I've got what I think is quite fun, an idea based around the what was it called? The player improvement fund? No, the performance. Whatever that PGA thing was that was paying players for being in the top 10. I've got an idea, and I want to pitch it to you two next, and the audience next week.
Interesting.
All right.
Simbo?
Nothing more from me.
Any rounds booked in, boys, that we expect to be talking about next week?
Yes.
Desperately trying to get a round in for this weekend. Because the sense of FOMO last weekend hit me like a freight train. So I put the word out there. Although I'm slightly complicating it for myself because I said Saturday, but now I might not be able to play Saturday, so I might need to play Sunday.
Yeah, I'm playing Old Thorns on Friday with 3 Sunday Red members, so really looking forward to that.
Yeah, good fun course there. And we are off. Actually, one of the lads I played with on Saturday, we are off to play Cottesmore, I believe, with another
Nice.
member. Right, guys, that about wraps it up for tonight. We will see you guys all next week. Have a good one.
Thanks very much.
See ya.